like getting it on.
Y'all need to hear this music.
They say 3 times the charm, right?
Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm, right?
They
gonna hit this time.
They gonna hit this time.
It's gonna hit just right.
God damn,
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
I don't know who walking through here, but devil, get back.
Yes, sir.
They always say though, proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Man, we've been here since 4 o'clock. Do I got to tell this story again?
You know what I mean?
We really.
Do I really have to tell this story again?
It's 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Right.
It's
Right.
dark outside, as you can see.
Right, it's dark outside. So devil, get back.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Right. But again, man, we back in the building one more time with my brother, Mr. Dr. Michael Addison, in the building tonight, man. Man, we got spent around, turned around, man, and we was on, we was on one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Mr. Michael Addison, man, Dr. Michael Addison, I didn't want to take your handle from you because you deserve that. You went to school and you earned that.
Thank you.
You understand what I'm saying? So I got to call you Doc.
Thank you.
You understand me? But yeah, man, so moving right along, man, getting to the meat and potatoes of this thing, man. Senate, you run against Jim Clyburn, right?
Congress.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I chose the wrong words. So in the event that you win, right?
Yes.
When you win, right?
That's
so
it.
we're gonna speak it into existence.
We're gonna speak it into existence.
We're gonna put that in the universe right quick, right?
Put it out there.
Right. So when you win,
we're gonna say it, Congressman Dr. Michael Addison.
Congressman. That's a lot of handle right there, man.
That's a fact.
But they all earned though.
Right.
That's why we call them.
So Congressman Dr. Addison, when you win, what can we expect for you to provide for us in this district? And what can we look forward to?
Well, there are a few things that I'm really deeply concerned about. I call them kitchen table issues. Number one is I want to eliminate all property taxes on real property. I don't think after you done paid for your house,
you got to keep paying for it.
You should keep paying for it. Well, you got to keep paying the county rent every year on your house. And if you don't pay the rent,
they can take
the house and kick you and your family out.
Right.
A house that you might have inherited, and then they may raise the millage on it. And I don't think we need the money. There's other ways that we could get that revenue. I think once we legalize marijuana, the taxes on marijuana can replace the taxes the revenue we generate from property taxes.
I'm pretty sure it'll far exceed
that.
It will exceed it. It will exceed it. Yeah. And that's one of those things that are near and dear to me because the tax sale is a big issue. And what they do, like we have a property, if we late on the taxes and they like take it up and put it on a tax sale, our taxes are like $3,300. But they'll get a sale and try to sell it for $100,000, but charge us the interest of another $5,000. So now you got to pay the $3,000 on your taxes, then another $5,000 that you paying in interest, and that's going to cause a lot of people to lose their property. And that is one of the reasons why black people have been losing property and poor people have been losing property in this country. Because you take a person who's not poor and they inherit the property, and then they raise the taxes on them, but they're on a fixed income.
Right.
The property doesn't generate income. They just own it. And so I don't think it's fair to steal people's property that way. So that's one of the first things I really want to push through all the 46 counties in the state of South Carolina. And another thing, I want to look at the child support laws. The child support needs to be revamped.
Right.
A lot of the money that goes into the child support is not getting to the children.
Right.
You know, and I'm not talking about a woman going to get her hair done because I don't see anything wrong with that. She's taking care of that child. He's taking care of those kids. You know, and he want to take a day on his own, and that's his money that he's used. I think people should be able to live. You know, but I think the children are what's most important. And then when you have the non-custodial parent locked up, and they working in a prison industrial system.
How's that going to benefit?
Well, the thing is, if you got someone working in a prison industrial system, I think they should be paid a livable wage. Because that money should go
towards the child support.
To their family.
And they won't even let them do it because they take money out for all that, but they won't.
But first of all, you got to know what they're paying them like $3 or $4 an hour. Sometimes it used to be $1 an hour. You know and they're like, well, once you get locked up, that's servitude, and the law state that you could be a slave. You know, but when you make laws that are nonviolent laws and you locking someone up for having a gram of weed or possession of marijuana, I mean, that's wrong. And that's why I need more people that look like us to govern our communities so we can set the laws.
Absolutely.
You know, and number 3, I think we should eliminate income taxes. This year, South Carolina has a surplus budget of $74 billion. A surplus budget, that's money after all the bills that have been paid.
Right.
This what's left over.
Ooh, you better piss all the baby mamas off now.
And so, ain't nobody talking about that surplus money.
Right.
But if you got a nonprofit organization, all you got to do is get with your senator and House of Representative member, and they could get monies for your nonprofit organization.
Right.
They do it all the time.
All the time, yeah.
But see, we don't know about it because we don't go to the state capitol. Can you imagine if the 6 of us was at the state capitol on a regular basis?
Right.
They would begin to wonder who are those
Who
black
was these
guys and
guys?
what is it
Yeah.
that they want.
Right.
They begin to feel uncomfortable
Right.
because all the lies that they've been telling us, for the most part, we can see through it. Because when you sit in on a hearing, you hear what's being said. And so what happens is we don't participate. And because we don't participate, we still sitting under the tree drinking 40s, getting high, chilling.
Big fact.
You know, and it's not gaining us anything.
Right.
We don't see the importance of
Right.
it at that point.
Not,
Right.
not
So,
at all.
so Doc, let me ask you a question, right? For somebody who's green to politics like me, is of course, not green to the point where I don't understand how it works, but green to the fact of how bills are made and are passed. In the event that you do make it, because we're going to speak this into existence, that
Yes, sir.
you are going to be
Yes, sir.
the candidate. What does it take for you to impose some of these things that you're saying? What's the process?
What I have to do as the congressman, I have to work with the state, Senate, and House to get bills passed to affect our constituents.
Right.
And so the congressman is responsible for bringing money to the state and helping set policies that govern the country. And the states in particular. You know, they have something called the NDAA, which is how Jim Clyburn, my opponent, a guy who's been there 30 years, and I think 30 years is too long. I think he's done enough, and I think it's time to let others take over.
Right.
But he's been there 30 years, and he was able to get $31 billion for the Catawba Indians in North Carolina as reparation. Now, when you mention to him about reparation for
What about us?
black people, he gets an attitude. And you can see on YouTube certain clips where he's saying, if you think you're going to ever get reparation, you're wrong. You're not going to get it.
I saw that.
You know, I'm like, why not? You're not going to get it for us?
Crazy.
You are a congressman. You just got it for the Catawba Indians. You led
This is very
and
possible.
see, he introduced the bill for them to get the money.
Right.
And so that's what Congress can do. That's what Congress can do. And so my thing is, that's how the bills get passed. You work with just on a state level. You have to work with the local representatives and your House members and your Senate, your senators. And so in this area of Orangeburg, you have Senator Brad Hutto, Senator Vernon Stevens that represent this area. Then you have Gilda Cobb-Hunter, House member, Russell Ott, Justin Bamberg, and Lonnie Hosey, all your House members. And you guys should put them on blast. Call them. They're real good people. I mean, Gilda Cobb-Hunter, Russell Ott, Lonnie Hosey, Justin Bamberg, they're really good people. They just need to hear from us.
Yeah,
That's all. They just need. And Brad Hutto, real nice guy. He just need to hear from us, though.
and they need us just as much as we need them. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, they need our votes.
Yeah.
And don't just let them come around during election time. Stay in communication with their offices. You guys got time, and if we could teach this to the younger generation, and so we could see how bills are made, how laws are passed. And so the legislation is proposed to the House. If the House passes it, it goes on to the Senate. And if the Senate approves it, then it goes to the governor, who signs it into law.
Right.
And that's how we get the laws on the state level. The same thing on the national level. When the House passes a bill that goes, if it doesn't originate in the Senate, then it goes to the Senate. Then the Senate, if they approve it, then it goes to the president. The president signs it, and then it becomes law. But one thing about the president of the United States, he has executive order privileges.
Right.
He can write an executive order right now to send $50 billion to HBCUs. Right now. He can write an executive order to give people the student loan break that he promised. He promised. And now he's backtracking on it.
Right.
I'm like, how you expect the young people to participate when you make them a promise
And don't keep it.
and don't keep the promise?
Right.
You know,
I mean, but that's campaign. That's campaign jibber jabber. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not really campaign jibber jabber. It makes sense because we subscribe to it. We believe in it.
But what I'm saying to you is, when you on the campaign trail, you say certain things in order to get votes, and then once you get the job, you forget.
You put it on the back burner.
You put it on the
might
back burner.
not forgot, but you put it on the back
Right.
burner because you see other issues come up.
It ain't even that. It's not. That was not as important as it was. It just sounded good.
Yeah, it sounded good to get you
at the
there.
time.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Just a sound bite.
Yeah,
Right.
just sound
It's
bite.
jibber jabber. It's sound bites. It's clickbait, damn it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly like clickbait.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what we got to change.
Right.
We got to stop clickbaiting.
Right.
We
You
gotta
said
stop
something
clickbaiting.
earlier, man. And we was talking about community, right? And we was talking off camera about the amount of violence that's going on in our town, and worldwide, and especially with the youth, right?
Right.
And you know, being that you're going to be in a position, and I don't know how much that directly affects us as a community, being in your position, but is there something, or is there anything in your plans that that you're going to implement work on some of the issues that we were discussing?
So are we talking about gun violence?
Gun violence, all that stuff we were talking about, man.
Well, with gun violence, we all have the right to bear arms until
Right.
you lose that right.
Right.
And I believe we should bear arms.
Absolutely.
I do.
Better.
And
I do.
And
Yeah,
22,
hell yeah.
you better.
and the thing is, though, but we need to be taught conflict resolution in our community.
Big facts.
Black people got to stop hating on one another.
Right.
Cops got to stop killing unarmed people. And it's not a ton of cops. It's just a few.
Right.
Because I have a lot of friends who are cops, and they'll never shoot an unarmed
Yeah,
person.
they'll never do that.
You
yeah.
know, I mean, most of them are kind of like Andy Griffin.
Right,
They carry a gun, but that's the last thing they want to use. But if you got people working in your community that don't look like you,
I say this all the time.
never been around you, and they coming in here to serve and protect you,
Basically, get a paycheck.
but they have a preconceived notion about you. And so oftentimes they don't work in our best interest when they don't know the culture.
Right.
And so we need people as officers who are familiar with our culture.
Right.
I mean, they don't have us running up in the white community,
No.
or in the Jewish community,
No.
or in the Asian community. They usually have people who look like them.
Yeah,
Right.
But that's our fault. That's not their fault. Because a lot of us won't even go apply to be a police
I mean, you got to
officer.
think. You got to think about the stigma that comes behind a police officer, right?
Well, there's a stigma being a black man.
But
They
what I'm
say,
saying,
they say y'all got large penises.
right?
You know, they say y'all
I'll
just
take that
wanna,
one. I'll take that one.
They say y'all just want to have a good time.
Kind of a good
I'll take that
problem
one.
to have.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, shout out to the black man. No, but I'm just saying, like in the black community, it's a stigma that comes behind police officers, man. And it's way before me, way before you.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? It's just something that we as a people have to understand, that in order to make our communities more safer, we have to police our own communities.
We have to be
We
in
have
that
to be
position. Yeah.
in control of our communities.
Right.
And so once we get the mindset, because like Keys said, shout out my brother Keys, community is a mindset.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So once we understand that if we control our communities, we also control what goes on in our community.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing.
I'm
we're
not
saying-
disagreeing
we're
with you.
saying
We are saying the very same thing, yeah.
Because imagine if Boss Hogg is the cop, and he
Right.
pulls up behind you, and first of all, your ass gonna tighten up when the cop pulls behind you, because it happens to all of us.
Right.
Because we're black men and we don't want to be a statistic.
Right.
And so, but when he gets out, he comes up, you're like, oh damn, that's Boss Hogg. Yo, dog, what I do? Oh
Right.
man, you missed the red light. Dude, nah, it's up to him. He could cite you,
Right.
or he could say, hey, watch what you're doing. He could give you a warning.
Warning, yeah.
You know,
It's up to him whether he gonna take
Right.
you to
it's
jail
up
that
to
day.
him. Or he can start looking in your car. He may smell weed. You know, it's up to him. I mean, in a lot of cases, people stop people who look like them, and they're like, look, you look like you might have had too many to drink. Let me call you a driver. Let's park this car. They see that's called community policing.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not out to lock everyone up to get a conviction rate. You're out to help the community. So Boss Hall may see, oh, dude, you might have had too many drinks. Let's park this car. I'm gonna give you a ride home. That's not uncommon,
it's not
but it's uncommon for us because when they stop us, if they smell alcohol, smell weed, get out, put your hands on the car, and if you say anything, it could lead to your death. And so a lot of us are frightened of that. And then if you got a trigger-happy cop who doesn't even understand the culture of the community, you probably didn't even smoke weed. You were probably over at your uncle's house and they smoke weed
Right.
and they got a medical card for it. But you smell like it
Right.
because it's oil-based and it's going to stick to
Right.
your clothes.
That's crazy.
But they don't understand that. So now you're being accosted by the police officer, possibly beaten up or possibly killed.
Right.
Now, then you got a family, people who love you. That's why we need qualified immunity.
Right.
I think all police officers first of all, should get a pay raise, number one. Second of all, they should be held to the same level as our military.
Yeah.
Right.
Our military is trained to kill.
Right.
Our police officers are trained to protect and serve.
Right.
Seems like we got it backwards here.
Right.
But the military don't have qualified immunity.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
If they
Right,
do
that
something
is right.
wrong, if they break a law, they get court-martialed. Their butts could go to prison.
Right.
And I think if a police officer breaks the law,
You should
they
be held
should
to
be
the same
punished.
standard as us.
Should held
like
to the same
the,
standard.
like the guy that killed Walter Scott, the guy that killed George Floyd, dude, that was straight murder.
Yeah.
That was murder.
You know, and they should be held accountable. You know, I don't think we should defund the police. I want people to get a raise because it's a noble position to be an honorable position to be governing your community.
Right.
And very dangerous.
And I say this.
And
I say
it's
this.
dangerous.
I say this all the
Yes.
time. I said police officers and school teachers need to get paid a lot more money.
More money. Yeah,
I
they're
think-
very underpaid.
You know, if we speak numbers wise, I think the base pay in this district should be $60,000 coming into teaching, coming into policing.
Right.
Because that's a livable wage. It takes the corruption out.
Right.
Because you got a cop making $25,000 and he pull a cat with $5,000 on him.
Right. Exactly.
It's just y'all too.
Yeah,
And-
You know, I'm
how
just
easy
saying,
is it to
You
corrupt
feel
him?
that, yeah, that's a
I
fact.
mean, there's a potential for corruption.
Hey, but you know, we were speaking about the penitentiary system earlier about that prison industry, PI. I worked in PI. And it's sad, but some of us that worked in PI was getting our checks, even though they take a lot out of it, was pretty much the same amount as the COs that was working on the yard. So, like you said, with dealing with corruption. If you got somebody who ain't getting paid much, but they risking their
Easily
life every day,
compromised.
They easily
Yeah,
compromise.
they
easily
You get
compromised.
that man $1,000 and he probably a sellout.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it is
Sell
what it
out
is.
for $1,000.
And you know what's crazy, right? Not to cut you off, brother.
No, go ahead.
But what's crazy is, you know, when we go to school, when we was in high school, middle school, elementary school, right? They say you go to college, get you a good job, right? And then once I got to high school, and I noticed that I would say 70% of the people that went into the industrial industry and went straight to work are more financially stable than people who went to college. Because sometimes, depending on if you don't have a plan when you're in college,
Yeah.
right? Let's just say that you go to college and you say I'm a major in physical education. You just fuck your way through college, right?
Yeah.
And then you're out of here, and now you have no work experience, right?
Yeah.
And you out here winging it, right? As opposed to Dr. Mike Addison, right? Addison, he went, got his doctorate degree in practicing his field.
Yeah.
Two different kind of people.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a plan, I don't think college is for everybody, right?
Yeah, college ain't gonna give you the
It
plan.
ain't
It's
gonna
just
give
the
you the
education.
plan. It's gonna give you something that you either gonna use or you're not gonna use.
the blueprint of the education.
Right.
They still ain't the education. But
So for the kids that's watching, I think that if you're mechanically inclined and if school is not your thing, right?
Right.
College ain't always the way. Because I'm just gonna say this right here. I have a job. I didn't go to college. I went to college for 1 year. I make $80,000 a year. I didn't go to college.
yeah.
So college does not necessarily mean success. It just means that you need to figure out what you want to be in life and follow that path.
Right.
You know, the fourth thing on my platform is that every high school graduate in Congressional District 6 is going to have a trade. I don't care if you go to college or not, you're going to have a trade.
Right.
When I got out of high school, I knew how to build a house.
Right.
Right.
I had that trade. I knew how to type
Huge
70
difference.
words a minute.
Right.
Right.
I had those skill set.
Right.
And what is happening, a lot of us are graduating high school dumb as hell. And we just got through.
Right.
We got a diploma with no substance with it. So when the Mexicans come in and they want to work for a fraction of what you're willing to accept, and they got the skill set,
Right.
those are jobs that you're not going to get. Now you're the minority.
Yeah,
Right.
you really done
You
exit
know?
yourself out that whole industry.
Yeah. And so what I'm going to push and make sure we have funding, that vocational skills. Everyone had the opportunity to be a mechanic, carpenter,
Right.
plumber, electrician, or build drones.
Right.
You know, work on technical things like computer science from high school.
Right.
Right.
And that's
Because,
what
like you said,
that's kind of
college
that's kind
is
of the point.
not for everyone.
That's kind of the point I was getting
They
at,
doing
right?
they doing this in Texas, man.
We got away from the vocational trades, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because somebody got to build houses, somebody got to do plumbing work.
Right.
That type of shit make good money, man.
Somebody got to repair.
Make the best money.
They make good money.
But not only that,
And for some reason, they look down on that type of stuff. But I think we need to get back to that because this new generation we need. Because if we don't have that in the new generation, then Where we gonna be at? We still gonna need plumbers.
We're gonna be in prison.
You know what's
Right.
you know what's so strange?
Absolutely.
You ever watch a bird build a nest?
No, haven't.
I mean, a bird can build its own damn house.
Right.
It don't need training,
Right.
You know. But here we are graduating.
Right.
We having sex, making babies, and families, but we can't even build a house.
Yeah.
Some
Right.
of us can't even change a fucking tire.
And that's sad.
know?
I think me and you was laughing about that last week.
We got roadside service. It's making us lazy.
Yeah, crazy.
You know,
Technology is making us lazy as a whole.
But I'm saying it's okay if you want to be lazy, but you're going to have that skill set. Or you're not getting out of high school unless you have a trade.
Right.
And you could take that trade to college, and instead of borrowing money and getting in student loan debt, you can work through it.
Right.
If you know how to do plumbing and you got your certification through high school, some of us may not even want to go to college.
Right.
Now, yeah, you spoke to getting this implemented in high school. I know a lot of times, or prior to, the issue was that funding was a concern and changing curriculum was a concern, and that's why we couldn't really get back to a lot of vocational skills in high school. Like there was so much state testing that needed to be passed that there wasn't really a lot of room for the funding for vocational skills in school. So I'm asking this to say, is that bullshit? And in the event that it is, how do you realistically, I mean, because we can talk about it all day, but realistically, how does that change? How do you get back to a technologically based society, going back to vocational skills in high school? Like, how does that realistically happen?
Well, when you think about the Commission of Higher Education, which deals with post-high school, college, and universities, we set the curriculum. This thing about CBT testing and standardized testing, all that is just BS.
Right.
Because that's just saying, hey, we need you to pass these questions.
Right.
No, listen, nobody has ever asked you what your SAT score was
Going
for a job.
Right.
You
No,
know,
right. Bullshit.
Talk about
if
it.
you can read and you have the basic fundamentals, which you should have by sixth grade, you know, you should be able to get a trade.
Right.
And so instead of just working on this thing, the funding thing start because there's some group of guys and women who put together tests that they sell to the state, and it's just about making money.
Right.
You know, it's just
a money making thing.
Everything is numbers.
So if we're governing our communities, then we're not going to have that in our community. We're going to have our kids tested on plumbing, tested on electrical. That's their skill set. That's their standard test that they got to pass. All right, we need you to help rough in this house. We need to see if you can hook these capacitors up and hook these breaker systems up in this house. We need you to know how to make repairs, how to cut 2x4s and 2x8s and 2x10s. We need you to know how to use a tape measure. These are fundamental things that we need on a daily basis. And there's good money in these trades, man.
Yeah.
Even asbestos. We don't even talk about asbestos.
Right.
But you could go take a week class at the technical school, get your certification in asbestos, get licensed through DHEC, and make 7 figures. It's dangerous now because once you suck it in, you out of here.
Yeah, you out of here.
You know,
Like last year.
you know, you're out of here. And so you have to be careful with it. But that risk allows you to be paid a lot more.
So it's a reward.
It's a reward to the
It's
risk.
kind of like welding under the ground, underwater. $300 an hour, but shit, you might not stay but 1 hour. You know, so the thing is, we got to have that skill set. So everybody graduating from high school will have a trade.
Right.
So ultimately, you're saying that they should have a SAT test for like middle school age, where it tests the actual academics of math, reading, science, and all that, and then by the time they get to high school, get another form of SAT testing that tests their vocational skills at that point, and not so much as their academic skills.
Because I mean, that's not really different than work keys or
I
wind
think
test,
it's a great
right?
plan.
Like it's
Same
the
thing.
same thing,
Yeah, same
right?
thing.
Exactly.
So
And so on the congressional level, we would need to implement that, get funding for it,
right,
and you guys governing locally, make it happen.
right,
Make it happen. Let me tell you, the crime rate goes down.
right.
Because
Everybody's busy.
I've seen a lot of cats out there hustling because they needed to feed their family.
Right.
I help mom Dukes out.
Yeah, ain't
You
like
know?
they ain't like they just enjoy selling crack cocaine.
Like you
Like I'm
enjoy,
gonna turn more people out. Or something.
you enjoy being out there 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when it's cold.
Right.
You know, getting $10. You know, a $20 piece.
The reality.
You
of
know, and so I've watched this growing up in the projects. people risking their lives for this little bit of money. And I say little bit of money because when I got into practice and a cat making, like me, making $80,000 a month, I'm like, oh my God, these cats here making $6 an hour. And they working 50 hours, 60 hours a week and never, ever close the gap.
Never.
And the craziest thing about that is most cats out there on the street that's selling dope, they're usually pretty good at math.
Very good at math.
Those are probably some of the best. business-minded people you would ever meet.
Exactly.
Yes.
Fortune 500 minds now.
Yeah.
Fortune 500
If
minded
they're given
individuals.
the opportunity. You guys remember the movie?
They gotta have the right product.
You remember the movie with Eddie Murphy called Trading Places?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when they gave him an opportunity, he didn't come from a stock background.
Right.
But some of the stuff are just natural to him.
Right.
You know, and most of it is just natural. They paint it with different terminology,
Right.
but it just all boils down to the same thing.
Right.
You know, supply
it's the
and
same
demand.
thing. When you doing that, coming from a background similar to that, it's the same thing with running the business, discipline, right? If I didn't make this amount of money this week, I can't go spend this amount of money.
Right.
It's about discipline. I have to hold money to keep my business running.
Balance them books.
Balance the
Balance
books.
the
He
books.
took the word straight out
It's
my mouth.
discipline. At the end of the day, it's all discipline.
Hey, but you know what? In the end is what you're saying. It goes right back to politics as well, because these same guys who has skills in business that they never knew that they could tap into, that they do every day on the hustle. With politics, a lot of stuff that people do when it comes to networking and building and getting this group together and getting that group
You have
together,
to learn that on the fly.
that could be effective in politics, and you don't even know the value of that until you step into politics and start associating with it. Like just community organizing seems so simple to us until we start getting into politics and seeing how hard it was for politicians to get a community together. Like, man, all I got to do is make some phone calls, and I have half it. Start on put it up. Like, it's not that serious. You got what I'm saying?
I think the problem with politicians, and I'm not a politician. I'm just a regular guy who's running for a political office.
You are an example of what I
just
said.
have regular values.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, they talk about shit that ain't nobody interested in.
Right.
You know,
They talk all the way over your head.
You know, they're talking about, you know, the national debt. And then your lights getting turned off. What do you care about the national debt and your lights being turned off?
Right.
You want deregulation of energy in your state.
They talk about the EPA and they talk about clean energy.
Right.
You know, what is clean energy when you don't have no energy?
Right.
You can't afford utilities. You can't afford fuel. Now gas prices are out of this world, and that's the fifth thing on the agenda, or maybe number 6, is we're going to lower gas prices because there was no reason for President Biden to shut the Keystone Pipeline down. There was no reason for it, especially to do it abruptly and not gradually do it so that people can prepare themselves. Right. You shut it down, and then you say in such an insensitive way, Biden, that people should have purchased an electric vehicle.
Yeah, like everybody could just go buy one.
Like everybody got $60,000 sitting around to go get a Tesla.
Yo, but if you listen to them hard enough, you will hear what they're saying, right? Because this dude said they're gonna release 80 billion gallons of oil from their reserve.
Did he say 80 billion or 80 million?
80 million.
Yeah, 80 million.
80 million gallons of oil from their reserve, right?
Right.
So you mean to tell me if you got 80 million, you're gonna release how much more oil you got, man?
Right, correct.
Yeah.
So again, why are we in a crisis
You ain't giving us
again?
but a fraction of what
Why are we in the crisis?
Why is this an oil crisis at this point? If you got this much oil over here that you got in the stash.
Yeah, the stash.
And then you were talking earlier about the amount that we actually get from Russia.
Yeah, 3%.
Right.
If we only get 3% of the oil from Russia, why has gas prices gone up 300%?
We paying for a war, ladies and gentlemen, indirectly.
We're paying for a war. We're just making oil companies wealthier.
But that's who gets
but
paid in the war.
Well, that 13.6 billion they gave to Ukraine, we paying that back.
What I think has happened is that
all
we
day.
paying that back.
Yeah, we paying that back.
Yeah.
that stimulus money that they gave during COVID, they just taking it back.
Take it
Yeah.
back.
This ain't nothing but a
With
shakedown.
interest.
See, where I'm from, this is a shakedown.
This
It's a
is a legal
shakedown.
shakedown.
Yeah, legal shakedown. And I'm like, dude, there's no reason for gas prices to be where they are. There's nothing that I can see to justify it other than people being greedy. And the question is, how many politicians got stock in these gas companies or these fuel companies?
Probably all of them.
You know?
Probably all
See,
of them.
I was taught to follow the money.
Follow the money.
If you follow the money, you'll see
find out what's going on.
what dictates a lot of the policy. Now, I'm not mad at them. But what bothers me is when Congress people and senators get the inside scoop on buying stock. Where to put their money, where to position it. Martha Stewart got locked up for that.
Right.
The average person gets locked up for that. You know, so I'm like, dude, we should really redo that. Yeah. We should change that. Because that, to me, is another form of insider trading.
Yeah. It is.
You know, those of us who take the risk of trading, they should be taking the same risk that we do without that inside information, or they shouldn't be allowed to participate. They should recuse themselves.
Right.
They don't face the same risk and litigation as everybody else do.
They have certain privileges.
Because you got the executive department, the legislative department, and the judicial department.
Right.
All of them know each other.
Cahoots.
All of them know each other. Them lobbyists deal with everybody. You feel where I'm coming from? Everybody. Because that's the business. Like I said, we in a capitalist society. Ain't no sugarcoating it.
Now, there's something you just mentioned. That's a key word, lobbyists.
Yeah.
Why they don't teach about lobbyists in school?
How
can you become a lobbyist?
Right.
Is there a class?
Yeah,
is there a curriculum at the technical school?
So,
or in college?
So,
there ain't nobody teaching you how to be a lobbyist?
So let me ask you a question, right? For everybody that's watching, what is the job of a lobbyist for people who don't know?
I'm trying to say it the best way I can.
Man, say it the way that they will understand.
You might as well say it the real way.
Yeah.
A lobbyist to me is like when your boy go set you up with another girl.
Right.
You know, you're like, yo, dog, that's my boy over there, Boss Hall.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He got some shit that I think you could use.
Yeah. So basically a relationship specialist.
That's exactly what they're like a liaison.
Yeah.
They throw along.
But you gotta
That's what they do.
But you gotta understand, they work both sides.
Right.
You know, you setting Boss Hog up and you setting Tiny up too.
Right.
You know? And so, but you're getting money from both. You're getting money from both. And so the lobbyists, you know, there are rules that they have to follow. And most lobbyists are doing a good job. They're doing their job. But I don't see us in it. There are a few of us speckled in it.
We're not even in that
but
game.
We're not there. Like South Carolina State University has a lobbyist. Now, you got a lobbyist, but the state getting ready to close your university?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, and then like I asked people, I said, where was Jim Clyburn when the state was about to close South Carolina State?
Yeah.
It took Nikki Haley to step in and do
You
something.
know, and she just did damages. You know, but the thing is, I'm not saying Jim's not supportive of state, but I'm like, where were you, bruh?
Right.
When the shit hit the fan,
you
where
should have
were
been on
you?
Front Street. Your face should have been first.
You're the top dog. You're the HNIC.
Right. Supposed to be anyway.
He was the Speaker of the House at the time.
No, he was. He's never been Speaker. He was the whip at the time.
Majority whip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He was the majority whip. Okay. And the thing is, you got all this so-called power, but it's not translating down to the people who keep you in office.
Right. To keep you there.
And so my thing is, if you're not going to take care of your constituents, why do you even want to stay in the position?
Right.
Because of all those perks.
Yeah.
Maybe
especially as long as he ain't got nobody
I
running
can't
him.
speak for him, but I've never. I
You've
already answered that.
You've already answered
I
it. Whether you wanted to answer it or not, you already answered it.
Yeah, and so. You know, an average person, we would think it would be something like perks, you know, but maybe it's something else. Maybe, I don't know. But I believe that if you're gonna represent the people, represent the people.
Right.
We have a 10-year plan. Team Addison, we have a 10-year plan. We want people to learn about cryptocurrency because, believe it or not, the president of the United States just issued an executive order on cryptocurrency.
Right.
Everybody listening should go to whitehouse.gov or wh.gov and pull down the executive order on cryptocurrency and read it. Matter of fact, go back and read all of Joe Biden's executive orders.
Right.
When he did the Asian crime bill.
Oh, super bullshit.
The Asian crime bill, but there was like black people beating up on Asians. I'm like, no, we're not.
Right.
No, we're not. That was a white guy that shot those Asians.
Right.
You know,
especially to that extent.
Super bullshit.
Executive order about that.
I mean, black folk don't fight people who cook their food.
Right.
You know, they know better.
All the Chinese food they cooking in the black community.
Nah, it's not happening.
Pretty much.
We're not finna bother Kim Lee.
You
know?
I mean, but you know,
We might talk a little shit to her, but we ain't gonna bother.
I mean, that was a smoke screen, though. We know what that's about.
Yeah, that was a smoke screen.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, we need to check them on it.
Right.
You guys have the people on your side. You have an ear of the people. This podcast, from my research, you guys reach a lot of people.
Yeah.
You guys are influencers. and you're trying to influence your community in a positive way.
Right.
But sometimes we got to get out of our comfort zone.
That's a fact.
You know, me personally, I didn't want to run for Congress. Man, I could be home fishing, playing with my dog, chilling, working out at the gym, you know, flying to different places, you know, going, I want to go to a restaurant in Vegas. I want to go eat dinner there tomorrow. You know, but no, I got to spend my money on a campaign because as the challenger, you don't get a lot of money, you know, so you have to use your own money. And so I'm like, I see there's an issue in our community and someone has to sound the final call. Someone got to speak about it.
So, and I'm glad you said that. And I think we got a little chopped up earlier. And speaking to that point, what I will say in my own personal experience, when I first voted, my mom told me to vote for Clyburn because that's what was understood.
We all vote for Clyburn.
So my point being, this is what I'm saying, right? So my point being is, for those that are just like me, and like you just said, I mean, obviously we reach individuals in this area, right? So for those that are watching, that may have had that same tutelage, they may have that same type of direction. The forefront's on it right now. What do you say to them to say, hey, look, get out of that same way, even whether it's for myself or whether just in general, how do you get people out of their own way, get out of their comfort zone of voting for what they're comfortable voting for, and actually looking at what's going on right now? Because if nothing else, we may not be, and when I say we, I mean black people, I mean our black culture, we may not be conscious for the right reasons at all times, right? But if nothing else, we're very, very conscious right now. You know what I'm saying? So for those that are looking, that are conscious, what do you say to them to get out of their way to say, hey, look, what you've been doing before obviously is painted, whatever the narrative's been before. They're looking at you right now. They want to hear obviously something different from what I mean, Clyburn's really not really doing much that resonates with us.
That is correct.
So what do you say to that? What do you say to people that can echo that same sentiment? Like what would your message be?
What I say is that I understand. I've been a legacy voter too.
Right.
I've voted for Clyburn for decades.
Right.
Because we believed in him.
Right.
We believed that there was a black man in D.C. representing our interests. Then when I start studying and reviewing his voting, you know, there was a crime bill passed in 1994 that locked a lot of black people out.
1994 crime bill.
Joe Biden brought that bill forward.
He did.
Your current president.
And Bill Clinton, him and Bill Clinton, right?
You know who voted for that bill?
Jim Clyburn.
Jim Clyburn.
Talk about it, man.
You know, and then people try to make excuses and say, well, we were having problems with crime in the community.
Lies.
And we needed something. I'm like, we still got problems
Since
with crime.
I mean, since when have we not had problems with crime in the community? That's where we just talked
and that was during the time that Hillary Clinton called the kids super predators, right?
Super predators.
Right.
Yeah.
If that's how
I was a victim of that
that's
whole
how
wave.
she view our black children, but we didn't view Chelsea Clinton as a super predator.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so why you want to look down on all of our children that way?
Super predators.
And then so when we vote and to elect a leader like we did with Jim Clyburn, and you go there and you vote against our interests, it's like with Tim Scott voting against and not promoting the Voter Right Act. I'm like, Tim, you knew from day one you weren't going to do anything with it. It was all a farce. It was smoke and mirrors, like you said earlier.
Graham cracker, man.
And so, but what I would say is that we here from the congressional level, we have to work our way down, and we got to have a regime change.
Right.
Just like I think Biden might have made a mistake when he said, you know, they need a regime change in Russia. We need a regime change in our communities.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
We need to stop.
100%.
We need to stop letting others that don't look like us control our communities.
And
there's no problem working with white people. Please understand.
Right.
What I'm saying is not anti-white, which is crazy.
And they will
you know?
misconstrue that.
Because a lot of my
they will
friends,
turn that for that.
a lot of my friends are white.
Right.
A lot of my colleagues that I work with are white.
Right.
And I speak this way to them.
Right.
Because I'm like, you white folk, don't worry about y'all don't have us coming in y'all neighborhoods running the community.
Right. Being pro-black is not anti-white.
Exactly. And that's something we got to teach people.
Correct.
Because they like to use this thing about reverse racism, and there's no such thing.
They want to be oppressed so bad, though.
Right.
Some of them want to be oppressed so bad. They like
just to say y'all do it too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man.
Not the same.
They want to turn the narrative around so bad. Like you couldn't live a day in a black person's shoes. You wouldn't even know how to even. You know what I mean? So to bring this, I got a question for you, Doc. So, when is the presidential election? Was 24?
2020.
20.
We had 2020, and then it's going to be 2024.
24, right? So, Democratic, Republican. As a group of people, right? How do you think we should start moving as far as voting rights? Because, I mean, Democrats ain't doing shit. Republicans ain't never been shit. Do you think that we should, like, try to build our own party? Well, how do you feel about that?
Well, currently, we have 8 parties in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We already have a black party called a United Citizen Party.
I say a lot of people don't know that. I didn't even know that.
We already have a black party.
Yeah, because you just taught me something.
You have the Libertarian Party, the Constitutional Party, the Green Party, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the Working Family Party. We already have a party, and it started in 1969 because they didn't want blacks participating in either the Democrat or Republican Party.
Right.
But you got to understand, Martin Luther King was a Republican.
Right.
And so,
but from history, blacks were Republicans first.
Exactly.
Right.
And believe it or not, most of us are still conservative.
Right.
Most of us believe in going to work. You know, working for ourselves, making it happen.
Yeah.
Making it happen. You know, so my thing is, let's do this. Let's do this here. Since we have these parties, let's participate.
Right.
You know, some people say let's do a protest vote. I don't subscribe to that. Let's look at the candidate that's offering something to us. There are enough of us to sway an election either way.
All day.
We can change it.
All day. Our vote is the one that matters.
We can change it. And now, but I think one of the reasons Joe Biden is allowing all these immigrants to come across the border because he thinks they're going to replace the black vote. He thinks that the Spanish-speaking community is going to replace the black vote and that they vote in a monolith, and they don't. They got their own country that they could go back to.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things we got to do is we got to build some foundational stuff. We got to reach back over to Africa and start building businesses there too.
Big facts.
Because see, one of the problems that the Africans have, they don't know how to deal with certain things in business.
Right.
You got China over there raping and robbing Africa. They just took another country's airstrip because they owed them money.
Yeah.
But we would have looked at that contract and we would have known, because see, we were brought up in America.
So
we were brought up with white folk. I'm telling you, dude, we know how they think. We know how they act. We know how they behave. And we are Americans, and we don't take that shit off nobody.
Right.
You know, so people are like, oh, you an African American? I'm like, no, dude, I'm an American.
I'm American.
I have never been to Africa.
I've never been to Africa. I'm looking forward to going.
I want to go.
We should
I want to go.
Roots, like you said, on the economic level and on the
exactly. We got to
level as well.
Establish that connection.
Yeah.
And so either a Republican or Democrat or any party. But what's so funny is I had a couple other parties ask me to be their representative for the U.S. Congress. But what I found out with the South Carolina Election Commission, when I win the Democratic election, and if I'm the Libertarian person and the Green Party, and if they vote Libertarian and Green for Michael Addison, it doesn't count towards my Democratic votes. It doesn't count as one for me. It all have to be separate. So that would be a loss for them to vote for me. They will need to vote in the Democratic part on that election. But see, people don't know that.
That's voter education right there.
So a lot of things we don't know, and that's why I say we got to go back and start reading case law. We got to read case law. And what a case law is, when the courts, like Dred Scott, when the courts make a decision, they have to issue an order with it. That we call that case law. It has a citation to it. And you can look it up. You can look it up and you can see what they decided and why. We should read Supreme Court cases from the United States, and we should read Supreme Court cases from South Carolina. Now, there's some cases that are not cited, but they still have opinions. And we should read the Attorney General's opinion.
Right.
Our Attorney General is Alan Wilson, real nice guy. His father is Addison Joe Wilson, the congressman over Congressional District 2. I don't know him, but I've met Alan, real nice guy, doing a decent job for us there. And I'm saying we need to read their opinions because they affect us. And we're not doing due diligence for our communities. We are not.
So that's a great point, man. And I know I've spoken with a lot of people who a lot of times the jargon is what kind of gets them turned off about reading.
Dictionary.
I feel you.
Dictionary.
So my ultimate point though is there, or maybe not even a point, just there being a means, and this may be something that I may try to tap into myself, but just being a means of trying to translate that for individuals who may not want to surf through the jargon, that just want to get the general gist of what happened in the case. Because if you can still determine what happened in the actual case, then you can still take the information from it, right?
Right.
So, like, this is all pertinent information, stuff people should actually know. But if they don't get to the meat and potatoes of it, let's be clear. People are not going to search for shit unless it's there, right? So,
in a case law, there's something called a summary.
True.
So if you read the summary, it gives you the gist of the case, and it's usually written on a 6th grade level.
Okay, good deal. Yeah.
So the jargon is not that extreme.
Good deal.
Right.
But whenever I was taught to read, I always read with a dictionary.
Sure.
Because even with a doctorate degree and tons of certifications, there's still some words I don't know.
Yeah, right. Of
And
course.
so I read with a dictionary, and I go back and define those words so I can understand what I'm reading. But once I got it, once I read it,
Right.
it's mine.
You know it.
It's yours.
I own
Yeah,
it.
you know
I
there's
own
knowledge
that.
now.
And
There's
that's
information
part
no
of that melanin thing, though.
Sure, that's a
Yeah.
fact.
Right,
Because,
right.
you
Big
know,
facts, big
remember, we
facts.
passed down a lot of our history
Yeah.
through what we
word of mouth.
remember,
That's a
through
fact.
word of mouth.
That's a fact.
And that's that melanin thing
That's a fact.
that people don't like to talk about, but yeah. And so even if it's a little confusion, we can't be lazy anymore.
All right, talk about
You can't govern if you're going to be lazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you ain't lazy when you out there trying to get some ass.
No.
You know, you reading the blog, you know, you knowing what she said, you know, you getting down with it. You know, so I'm like, use the same enthusiasm.
That's right.
I mean, think about the love that you have for your children
Yeah.
and maybe your grandchildren one day.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the enthusiasm that I have. That's one of the main reasons I'm running, because I want to see some great things happen for my grandchildren
Absolutely.
Right.
and your children.
Absolutely.
But we got, and because I love myself so much, and I thank God for who I am. And you guys got to look in the mirror and just be grateful for who you are and what you are.
That's a fact.
And if you do that, you ain't got no reason to want to hurt your brother.
Right.
That's a fact.
And I see brothers arguing. I'm like, dude, seriously?
Yeah.
What is this about?
Ain't about nothing.
You know, a football game?
Ain't about nothing.
Are you serious?
Ain't about nothing. It's really about something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's built up to this point, so now I got to take it out on you.
Yeah, I gotta take it out on you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's jealousy too.
Right.
Right.
Because you're willing to work a little harder
Right.
than the next guy.
Right.
And that's what it boils down to. Most people don't want to work.
Right.
They don't want to put in the time. They don't want to have to drive to Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to have to drive to Columbia.
Right.
They don't want to have to drive to
Hey, man, drive to Charleston, man. I drive to Charleston every day, man.
They just want accolades, though. They just want accolades.
And then when they
That's a
gave out that
fact, though.
$600 a week check,
Sheesh.
do y'all see how many people are being prosecuted for the PPP money?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was a trick bag. It was a
It was,
rabbit
definitely.
hole.
It was too easy to
You
get.
know, it was a rabbit
It
hole.
was too easy to get.
You know, and people would just stop working. Well, we kept working.
Yeah.
You know, we just kept working because we knew they was going to take it back, or they was going to find a way to prosecute you, some way to get you back into the system, get you back doing free labor, back into that prison.
Back into that. Yeah, back into that.
You know, and so, you know, my thing is when we talk about electing Joe Biden as president, everybody say that Jim Clyburn was really responsible for that, and he did endorse Joe Biden 3 days before the election. But the thing is, I don't understand. There's something in South Carolina called ballot harvesting, and I don't understand how Joe got all those votes, and we're still studying it because we can't make any accusations without facts.
Oh,
Facts, yeah.
You know,
interesting.
But
I'm
there's
telling you, we've seen
something
it happen.
called ballot
Interesting.
harvesting, and you need to really study it because, believe it or not, dead people are still voting. People are voting and don't know they're voting. You know,
dead people vote.
There's some issues. I see
Hey,
Donald
did y'all
Trump.
just hear that?
Donald Trump was he was saying that, but everybody, you know, they
It's
expected.
just the way
media
he
expected.
said it.
It was the way
You know,
he said it.
the way he came off like
Yeah.
like being an asshole.
Yeah, they spent
You
it.
know.
The media spent it around, but he had it was some validity to what he
There
was
was
saying.
some validity to it. You
He
know,
knew the system.
there was some validity to it, and he was exposing them.
Right.
And I hear it's on both sides, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
very
know,
much. Very much.
because
so.
I'm just curious how a guy could get 200,000 votes at one time, and all of them go to him,
Right.
Yeah.
and none to
Right.
the other
And
guy.
no to the right.
That's
You know,
crazy.
I'm like, that doesn't
Crazy.
make sense.
Crazy.
There's some funny counting there.
Yeah,
Right.
it's funny
You know,
count.
so I'm like, I'm for one person, one vote,
Yeah.
and that's the voter integrity that we need. And then people are like, well, you got to show your ID. That's not fair. I'm like, well, when you get your check cash,
You gotta show your ID.
Right.
Everywhere you go, you show your
Right.
ID.
You
All
don't
of
mind.
us-
You don't mind showing that ID when you cash that check,
right.
big dog.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't mind showing my ID.
Yeah.
Why is that an issue
Right.
when
Right.
it's not Like if I'm voting for you, I'm not ashamed to say I'm voting for you. Like
right, exactly.
that's who I'm voting for. I'm voting for you. Like
right.
I'm not about to go backtrack and say, "Oh, I ain't vote for you."
Right.
And I really voted for you and they ain't voted for you.
Right.
It's like you opening the door for people to kind of mislead individuals.
Right.
You know
now, it's interesting you mentioned that because I have a lot of people who've stepped to me and they say, yo, Doc, we with you, man, but we can't say it publicly because of our relationship with Clyburn.
Yeah.
We don't want to mess that up in case you don't win. We don't want him to be angry. I'm like, well, why don't you tell him the truth?
Right.
Why don't you tell him that you thank him for his 30 years of service, but you believe he's not equipped to handle it for what we need going forward?
Tell him you got to go home and sit on the porch.
He's disconnected from the average voter. Those 45 and under
Far removed.
don't even know him. If he walked in this door today, you wouldn't know who he is.
Right.
And it's nothing against him. It's just, he's Father Time now.
At the end of the day, at 80, how old is he?
81.
He's 81 years old.
82.
Wow. How many people you know work at 81 years old?
He'll be 82 on July 21st.
I feel like somebody of his wisdom and significance from being in the game so long. I feel like it's so many other positions that he should be playing right now versus that one.
I mean, at this point, it's time to be celebrated.
Right.
Exactly.
You should no, seriously. I mean, at this point, it's time to be celebrated.
Right.
At this point, man, you're doing. I'm not going to say more harm than good, but at the end of the day, you're doing more harm than productivity.
Right.
But
At this
think
point, you know what I
about
mean?
it.
Like
Think
it's
about
just,
it.
come on, man.
It's hard to celebrate him when we have to critique him.
Right.
Right, correct, and that's the point.
The challenge.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
Most black people, we're loyal.
Yeah.
Correct.
We're loyal.
Correct.
And what got me running for the seat that he holds is that I'm like, the people are not being served.
All right.
Right.
He on TV the other day, when we filed, no media coverage. Because he already told the media if they cover me, he ain't gonna give them an interview. So they done black me out all the way.
Right.
But when he got filed, they cover him, and he makes this statement that he wants everyone to have access by 5 years to broadband.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, we need access now.
2022 now.
correct.
We
It's
don't need it
2022.
2027.
Right.
We need it now.
It's 2022.
And so I'm like, 5 years, you'll be about 90. Still saying the same thing.
You gonna forget you said that.
Something else gonna come up.
So I'm like,
you gonna forget you said that.
With all due respect, man,
Yeah.
can't you
Word.
step aside? But he was on HBO a few months ago, and he said, look, I don't know why y'all coming to me asking me to step aside. I didn't ask anyone to die for me to run for office. He's like, if you want my seat, come and get it.
And here we are.
So I accept
So
the challenge.
here we are. So here we are.
Challenge.
He coming to take that, Clyburn.
And with all due respect.
Yeah,
and
man.
it's just politics. And I tell people, stop taking it personally, because some people are looking at me sideways, like they want to do something. And I'm like, dude, if you feeling froggy, jump. Because my heart don't pump no Kool-Aid. I mean, but be ready to deal with the repercussions,
Right.
Because we in it to win it.
Hey, catch all these hands.
We'll clap back in a minute
Catch all these
now.
hands.
Some milk.
Give him some milk.
Need some milk out
Yeah,
there.
man. But Doc, man, wrapping this thing up, man. I got a question to ask you right before we wrap this thing up, man. For those people who are, who are kind of standoffish about voting Democratic, those people who are kind of standoffish about voting Republican, can you kind of comfort them and give them a message, give them a kind of mission speech of what you're going to say or what your job is going to be? Let them know that you are the man for the job at this point, man.
What I can say is that I've been a card-carrying GOP member for years.
Right on.
I support the GOP, the Republican Party. I support the Democratic Party.
Right on.
If you got issues that are good for this community, I'm going to support you.
Right.
I say don't just look at the party, look at the person.
Right.
And if that person is putting party over principle, putting politics over people, then you don't want that person in your office.
Right on.
Exactly.
I don't care if he white or black, if he Democrat or Republican, you don't want that dude representing you.
Right.
Make sure you got somebody who's going to equivocate for your community.
Big fact.
Someone, when you having issues that need to be resolved, they have an open door policy. They have a phone number where you can reach out and be heard. They'll return your call.
Right.
They have constituent services set up for you.
Right.
But we're not getting that now.
Right.
And so those who are questioning voting, all I ask you to do is give us a shot.
Right.
Give us a shot. And I'm not talking about a shot of bourbon, you know. And I'm not talking about a vaccine. I'm talking about give us your vote.
Right.
And if we don't do right, put us the hell out.
Get 'em
Vote
on
us out.
Right.
But I ask you for 10 years.
Right.
I don't want but 10 years.
Right.
And then after that, I want to come work with South Carolina State and help mold and shape the minds in this community. That's what I want to do.
I see your 10-year plan because it's going to take you 5 to eradicate the bullshit that's already there.
There's a lot of it out there. And a lot of us are scared, though.
And then the next 5, you're going to work on your plan.
A lot of us are scared. And I tell people, if you're scared, stay the hell away from me. Because we don't deal with scared Negroes or scared white folk.
Nah.
You know, if you're scared, stay away from us. And if you're not going to be truthful about it, you know, I don't even want your vote.
Right.
You know, like people, like we have cars wrapped in with Addison for Congress on them. Now Clyburn got cars wrapped for Clyburn for Congress on them.
Monkey do.
You know, someone say, well, he did it first. I said, well, no one ever saw it.
Right.
But they see ours now. And so we about to break out the RV. You know, and do our thing. But the thing is, we're having fun with it. It's just so it's a privilege to be able to meet so many people and to serve in this capacity and to offer solutions. We've been around a long time. We've seen a lot. As a physician, as a chiropractic physician, I've treated over 15,000 patients. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
A lot of people that I've come in contact with personally, and most of them know me. So when Clyburn and Tim Scott people start telling lies, you know, I'm like, just look at it for what it is, guys. It's just a lie to get you to run away from Addison, because what I represent is change.
Right.
If you don't want change, then you don't want me. You know, but if you want change, we are the change agent. But I can't do it by myself. I need everyone listening to get registered to vote. And number 2, get 10 more people registered. We need 108,437 votes to take him out. That would bring Clyburn home to his rocking chair.
There you go.
You know?
He should have been.
And he mentioned in an article that he did with the Associated Press about coming to his rocking chair. So I'm going to get him a rocking chair. You know, I just want to know what color he wants. You know,
he might want to stain one, a stained oak wood. He might want to stain.
We're going to get him a rocking chair. You know, but listen, I thank you, brothers, so much for giving me the opportunity to spend time with you.
The pleasure is ours.
I would ask you guys to share this. Let's get 1 million people watching.
Oh yeah, man.
Let me tell you why it's so important. Clyburn has affected other people's campaigns all across the country.
Right.
From Nina Turner to Jamal Bowman. You know, he's negatively affecting their campaigns. These are young brothers and sisters who are trying to do things for the community, and he's like, well, if you don't do it my way, you're out. And I'm like, come on, dude. You're not the boss hog of everybody. You know?
But see, he got that mentality of all older people, man. You know, they stuck in their ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a universal law of attraction, and there's another universal law called the law of allowance. We have to allow people to be who they are.
Right.
Most of the time, if you would just let people be who they are, you could really get along with them.
That's a fact.
When you see people acting the fool, acting the monkey, as my grandmother would say, leave them to themselves.
Right.
Leave them to themselves. And people want to argue.
Right.
You're arguing by yourself, dude. I'm out of here. We got to work on conflict resolutions.
Right.
We got to stop every time we disagree with one another, killing one another. You know, we talk about the white cops shooting black people. They do, especially unarmed black people.
But not at the rate we shoot.
But not at the rate we're killing each other. We got to address that, because we got to police and clean up our own communities.
Right.
Y'all know that Aunt Lula boy over there, that Aunt Ruth's son over there, Aunt Ruth's daughter over there done some shoplifting and stole that stuff, over there peddling the crack. We got to bring job opportunities for our community so we don't become snitches.
Right.
Because, see, that's another thing. We don't want to be snitches. We want to help heal the community.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also need something for these kids to do, man. Like, we need some community centers. We need...
Oh, that's another thing.
Because the idle mind is the devil playground. They
In-
always say that, right?
In Allendale is a full county in this district. When I get elected, one of the first things I want to do is get funding to put a recreation center in Allendale.
Right.
There's no place to go skating,
None.
bowling,
Nothing.
swimming,
The whole
nothing.
The whole county.
The whole county.
The whole
county. And
As
we
a
want to
country.
work on that. And we can.
Right.
Look, dude, if we could spend $13.6 billion to Ukraine.
Think about it.
We can
Now,
do all that.
And my prayers are with the Ukrainians. But you guys got to cut that racist stuff out.
Hey man, listen.
You know, you can't push black people off the train.
Hey Doc.
I'm like, come on.
Hey Doc,
guys.
I got my own perception of the situation, and I I don't get involved with white on white crime, brother.
That's right.
That's white on white crime.
That's white on white crime over there.
That's what my grandmother would call
That
it.
is white on white crime.
At a far higher rate than us.
Y'all go ahead and do what y'all got to do. I'm over here. I got my own.
Hey,
You know what I mean? My own field plant.
They don't get involved in black on
They
black
don't get.
crime,
You
right?
understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
That's a whole on a large scale. You gotta. That's white on white crime.
That's right.
But
You know.
they keep threatening us with the idea of Putin using nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And he's not going to do
not
that.
gonna
No, you don't want to do
He's
that
not
'cause
going to do that.
they don't want us to use it.
You know, exactly. He's not going to do that. And see, when you guys mention white on white crime, that's not my verbiage, but I understand it. That's
Right.
white people business.
Right.
Where I'm from, that what we will call it.
Right.
You know, that's white folk fighting each other.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing to do
we
with that.
kind of like stay out of their business
Right.
in a lot of ways. But when you ask us to take our revenue and send it to them, you know, we
That
ask
changed
that
the game.
those white people will heal themselves
Right.
and stop that. But, you know, Tulsi Gabbard, a lady who ran for U.S. President, she mentioned, I think, on Fox Nation or Fox News that the United States has labs in Ukraine.
Oh,
They have labs over there, and so some
So they're
people,
protecting their interests then, right?
Yeah, it's interest there. That's why Russia don't like.
Interesting.
Russia don't like them because they gain the interest in Ukraine. They don't like that. That's the old USSR, you know.
Exactly, and remember,
That's the
Ukraine
part.
was a part of the Soviet
Right.
Union.
Soviet
Right.
Union, man.
You know, and so
That was before the Cold War, right?
That
Putin
was
feels-
the Cold War
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
Putin feels like it should be back with
Back
the
to
Soviet
Soviet
Union.
Union.
Yes, it's
So
all
kind of
right.
like how Saddam Hussein felt with Kuwait being part of Iraq.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Yep. That's
so
the
you
same
have,
thing
and
happening
then,
again.
but you know, it's interesting. In 1994, we told the Ukrainians, if you give up your nuclear weapons, we'll protect you.
We'll protect you. They'll fall under NATO.
You know, and
But
and so
but
that
ain't
never
do it.
happened.
They never happened.
Oh, they backed out though, right? Didn't they back out? Didn't they say they want to be? They didn't want to be a part
They
of NATO.
wanted to be independent,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but they
Right.
were encouraged
They
to back out.
They just came out of the Cold War. They
Right.
just been part of Soviet Union. That's why I said with Mikhail Gorbachev and all that was going on around that time. You got to realize them people, while we was in the 90s, they was still pretty much in the 60s with their
Right.
society.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they
Yeah.
just, like, it didn't really progress at the same measure that the United States and the other more capitalist countries have progressed.
Right.
And even in 2022, you can see it now.
Yeah,
Still
yeah,
back in
yeah.
the day.
But again, right?
They still throwing
Again,
back
my
a
whole
little
thing
bit.
is they ain't none of our business.
But you got to remember this also.
Back to that part.
You got to remember this, that in Ukraine has the second largest nuclear facility that supplies energy in that area.
Right.
And so if Putin gets a hold of that, now he has the oil, the natural gas, and the electrical for the nuclear energy.
And you forgot about this.
Chernobyl
And-
and all
and
that down
Chernobyl
there.
up there in the
that's
top.
And Ukraine and the land of Ukraine is very it bears fruits.
a lot of minerals and resources.
Minerals and
there.
resources, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the reason why they want that. That's the reason why they want
It's
Ukraine.
the
now.
same reason why they want Africa
Right.
right now.
You know.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ain't no different.
Oh, it's a method to the madness now.
Yeah.
It's
It's a method to
obvious
the madness.
you guys are not asleep.
Right.
You see what's going on.
Right.
And so the thing is, you got to keep putting it out there and asking more young people to wake up and go vote
And pay attention.
and
vote.
pay attention. And see, when I get into office, I'm coming back asking all of y'all to run for
Talk
office.
that thing, brother. When he get in the
I'm
office.
going to be supporting all of y'all. Now, listen, if I don't win this time,
Oh, you gonna win, brother.
I'm running for the next 4 terms.
Yeah.
I'm not
yeah,
going to stop
absolutely.
running until
Yeah.
I'm 65.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And I'm 55 now.
Wait, he 80. You gonna stop at 65?
Hey, but you know
God
what?
damn, you give up quick.
Hey, but you know
he
what?
can only be in there at least 5 more. He got 5 left in there. 5 good ones.
We are the future. We was talking about that last week.
Right,
You know
right,
what I'm saying? Like, we the future, man, and with the whether and we're not speaking no negative in existence, but I'm
Right.
just saying, regardless of the fact of how it turned out, you won.
Yeah, man.
That's a fact.
Just by
one.
taking that
by
step.
running.
Yeah,
by
you won.
running. You don't know
That's
how
a
many people have told me,
Yeah.
man, we're so proud of you
Right.
because we need change. But
Yeah,
most of us
definitely.
are afraid to say that. And so I've been blessed because God blessed me in my careers, and I've been able to take care of my family, get my children grown, And I'm like, now it's time to help my community more from a different position. But I need you guys to get in position, because when we send the money down, I don't want it to stop at corporations.
That's what happened. That's what happened.
You know, we need nonprofit organizations that work with our universities. You know, Clyburn was over $1.9 trillion of COVID money. He could have put $100 million with Claflin and South Carolina State to do research on the African American community, because remember now, we were dying at a higher rate.
That's a fact. That's a
It
fact.
was,
so
it would be easy to sell.
Because they could have done the research and found out that, we need zinc. Claflin has already done basic studies on zinc and the efficacy of zinc in the human body. They could have done the research to see how can we defend against these comorbidities. And people were just dying left and right.
But Doc, you a doctor. You know ain't no money in healing nobody.
But there sure is a lot of money in studying the healing.
There ain't no money in healing nobody. You can study and you can give them some medicine and deal with it for long. But I don't want to cure you because I can't get. It's no money in curing you.
But on the research side,
may as well circulate the money for research.
Right. On the research side,
the money may as well flow. That's the point. That's the point. The money may as well flow.
And so that was disappointing to me, that he didn't give any money to the state and Claflin of any measure.
Right.
You know, he'll come here and make a token donation of $1 million or $2 million. But dude, you over 1.9 trillion.
Right.
I don't even know how many zeros that is. How many zeros is that?
That's a lot.
That's over 999 billion.
But how many zeros is that?
It's over that.
Write that down on a piece of paper. I want to see how that looks.
That's
about nine zeros.
zeros.
That's about 9 zeros. And that's boring.
And you,
Jesus Christ.
And you the head dude.
Ooh, Lord.
You the head dude. You should have pulled a commission together of the researchers at South Carolina State and Claflin, because it's, according to the studies, it was the black people. Look at what he could have done. That's why I had to get in, man. I'm like, dude, how the hell you let our people die like that?
How you let that one pass?
You know?
You keep letting too much slip past it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Now, that's what keep me up at night. That keeps me up.
Gotcha.
But y'all watching it, man. Y'all see it right here in the fabric, man. You see what representation should look like, at least from when you got someone who knows at least what can happen. You might not be able to control everything that does happen, but when you have someone who's in position that sees what can happen, and there's obviously genuinity in what you're doing and what you're standing for, man, it gives you a reason to want to support. You know what I mean? Like, so,
thank you.
That right.
Absolutely. For all intents and purposes, for anyone who is trying to support, who's trying to be a patron, or someone who's trying to follow
donate,
you, how do they get in touch with you?
We have Addison for Congress, which is our website. You can go on, and we're now got to collect donations because Clyburn is bragging about having $2.5 million and that he doesn't have to campaign. So I don't know if he's going to buy the votes, or I don't know. I don't know what the money's going to do.
You might know something you don't know.
I know. I'm trying to learn it. I'm new at this. But what people can do is go to our website. We didn't put a lot of information out on the website initially because we didn't want him to take his money and then smother our agenda. What we've been doing is knocking on doors, shaking hands, holding meetings, grassroots. And that is more effective because you know more people that you know than I know that you know. And if you reach out to those people I would have never gotten to without you. And that's what we're encouraging people to do. And I'm telling people, don't be afraid. People are always saying they go to church, they believe in God. Well, put your faith to task. If you really believe, I'm like, if God is for you, who could be against you? No weapon formed against me can prosper. I'm like, come on, man. If we believe that, why can't we stand on that? A lot of us don't. We just talk. We just talk.
A great game.
And I'm like, well, talking is over now. It's time to act. So if you go to addisonforcongress.com, you can find us there. We have a Twitter account too. I'm still learning how to use it.
We go learn it too.
I didn't bring my flip phone. I didn't want to look too much like Clyburn walking in his footsteps. So I left the flip phone home. But man, it's exciting. Being here with you guys is very exciting, and I would hope that we would take this moment and grow from it. I've learned a lot listening to you all.
Likewise.
You guys are very knowledgeable, and I pray that you guys keep doing this. And I hope that we can find funding to support this, because this needs to be shared across the country and across the globe.
Right.
We need to take this and reach it out to our African sisters and brothers, our brothers in South America and Brazil and Dominican. You know, and what's interesting, you got Haiti and Dominican on the same island.
On the same island.
Right.
Same island, but it's
Once-
like day and night.
Yeah,
Right.
night
Day and night.
I swear to
You
God.
know, and that's because of what the UK, the French did to Haiti.
Right.
I hear they apologizing now.
Yeah.
You know,
How many
but-
years later?
You know,
Yeah, right.
And when they pull those battleship there, like if you guys don't sign this and pledge us the $500 million,
Right. Them boys are still paying that money back.
still paying it. They should cancel that debt tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow, yeah.
And see, these are things that I think black leaders should be talking about.
Fact.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of those major banks that we bank with,
Yeah. it's
benefiting.
funding that.
benefit from that
Yeah,
money.
they're
That's why I said
benefiting.
we need to really
And we need
get
to
into
call
all
them
that.
out.
Yeah, the
We
rabbit
need
hole
to
get
call
deep.
them out. We need to call them out.
And pull our money from out
lastly,
their
Yeah.
banks.
lastly, we need to talk about reparations because reparations are important. You're giving it to everybody else. And I watched some clips on YouTube, and when a young man mentioned reparations to Clyburn, he gets offended.
Right.
He says, "Look at me. Look at my daughter.
Right.
Do we look like we need reparations?"
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's sad.
I'm like, but it's not about you, brother.
it ain't about you. It's,
It's
about
about
the
the
culture.
You see what it's
the
about.
people.
And so
He
it's,
just told you what he just told you what it was about.
He just told you
He
straight up what
told
it
you
is.
where he
Telling you,
basing
man.
his
My mama said if
decisions
you
off
listen to
of.
somebody long enough, you hear
that's
exactly
a
what they
fact.
saying.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and that was so disappointing to me for him to
That's
say
sad.
that.
That's sad.
And the young guy he said that to is now running against him. And I'm like, good for you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
Absolutely. And
I'm proud of that young brother down there in Jasper for stepping up.
even more to your point, man, we were talking earlier about why it is there's so much crime in our neighborhood specifically. And I know we were talking about, I spoke to us not seeing each other with enough. Like, ultimately, the same thing that you're talking about, the reparations, ultimately just leveling the playing field to some degree. You're never going to get back the true value, right?
That is correct.
But at least if the playing field becomes leveled, it gets very, very awkward to go and hate on somebody that got the exact same thing you got.
Same thing.
It's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes you the oddball. Now you stick out like a sore thumb. If literally you got $1 million and I got $1 million too, then what am I really hating on you for?
Yeah.
Like we really got the exact same thing. So to the
Yeah.
point, I couldn't let you get out here without tying that together because I feel like it makes so much sense. It's so much of a knot. Like that is the answer. We were sitting reaching and I couldn't put the words together, but in my eyes.
Reparations is damn.
That not just
I mean,
reparations.
it's definitely a start.
The
It's
point
definitely
is
a
the
start.
point is just the vision, the macro vision of just seeing that, you know what, not just saying it, but you know you got the same thing I got, bro.
Yeah.
We the same. Like it's one thing from when I say it and I pull off in a Ford Fusion and you pull off in a Benz. But if I pull off in a Benz and you pull off in a Benz,
I mean,
we literally got the same thing, bro.
but-
Like it's not to say that
your
hate,
hate-
not
your
to say
hate
that
will be
hate ain't gonna still
exposed.
be there.
it's
bro.
supposed to be
But
put
my,
like that.
But my point
it'll
is,
be exposed though.
this is my point. It
yeah.
makes it a lot less. It makes it a lot less understanding. It makes it a lot less understanding as to why you're.
So,
hating
let me
on
ask you a
me
question, right?
if we got the exact.
Let me ask you a
same
question.
thing.
So, let me ask you a question. Just hypothetically speaking, right?
Okay.
They cut us a check for reparations
Okay.
tomorrow, right?
Okay.
If everybody at this table $100,000.
Right.
Do you know everybody at this table handle money different, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
You might run out of your $100,000 first.
That's what's going to happen. But
Yeah,
the
but-
point.
but
my point is.
That's his point. That's
So,
his point.
This is my point.
It's going to show
right back
that
to the
you
point.
just fucking up.
Exactly. You heard.
You acting like you hating, but really you just showing that
You
you
just
fucked
showing
up.
that you fucking up.
It ain't solving nothing.
No, it
It
is.
is.
It is.
Because
But
I'll
it
tell
is.
you why. Because you're no
Stupid
longer being
you ain't
supported by
gonna
your
roll.
homie. See, your homie that usually supports you for fucking up, because, man, you had to get it because you was, no. You had the same thing I got. Literally, bro.
Yeah.
No. Literally, you got
now
the
he
same
ain't gonna
thing
throw
I
them
got.
booster
Just like
cables
your
on that
homie
shit the way
and
you
this
would've
homie.
threw
And
it
bro,
on there.
I'm not subscribing to that, bro. I'm not goddamn supporting the same bullshit that you do all the time.
I got a different view on that.
I'm saying,
but,
like, so
that's just my view.
again, that's just my angle on it. I couldn't tie it together before, and
Yeah.
it's just either way. I didn't want to let that blow.
But I mean, that is a good point, though, bro. That's a good point.
Absolutely.
I just kind of feel like it can work a different way because it ain't got nothing to do with us, right? It got everything. It came from the plantation. The shit that we got going on with us psychologically came from the
It
plantation.
did come from there. We're talking about what to change it, though. My point is,
Right.
it came
We
from
got
there.
the awareness of it.
Right.
This
We
is my
know
point.
where it's at.
Right.
You
Right.
know, but one of the things you got to remember, if we've all got $1 million or $450,000, which they say what we deserve,
Right.
we all got 24 hours.
Right, correct.
See, it's the money and the time.
Right.
You know, what you do with the combination of those two is going to determine your reality.
That's a fact.
And
That's a
then,
fact.
but we need to teach people plans.
That's a fact.
Because see, we for the plantations, we just got no training.
We was
or
pitted
nothing.
against each other, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
my whole point is saying this right here, right?
That's the psychology of
The
it.
difference between us and white people is a white man, say they get, all of them get 100,000, same, it's a group of white people, right? Tim would tell Bob, say, you need to invest your money in this so that you can continue getting money and feed your family. You would tell me nothing. You would have a scheme to get some money, right? You would have a plan to get some money, but you wouldn't tell me.
Yeah, you want to try to bring him in.
Because you're going to say, well, dang, you ain't going to have what I got.
Yeah.
Right.
You might do better than me.
You might do better than me.
White people work
and that's
together.
the disconnect.
White people work together.
That's the disconnect I'm saying.
Even when they don't like each other,
Right.
they work together. I have a lot of white
that is
friends.
the disconnect that I'm saying.
I feel you.
Yeah.
That's something you got to give white
feel
people. They work together, and we've been taught from the plantation to dislike each other
Right.
and not trust one another.
Right.
And it's not our
trust one
fault. It's not
another.
even our fault. It's just something that's
But once we
embedded
become
in us.
aware of it,
Thank
then we
Willie
can
Lynch
change
for
We're
the
it.
responsible for it from then.
Once we
that's my
become
thing.
aware of it, we're
You know,
responsible for it
Right,
from then.
right.
You know, but other than that, I would like to have the opportunity to try it.
I would like
That's
to. I would
the
like
point.
to.
That's the point.
I would
I
like
would
to.
have
the opportunity to try.
I would
Tell
like
you
to,
what, we
and
can
I would
put
like
this
it to
to
work
test.
too. I would like it.
That's a
I like. I would like
fact.
everybody to be
That's a fact.
successful.
Man,
I'm just-
I know it'll work. See,
yeah.
I
I
know
know
it'll
it will.
work because it's our nature.
Right.
Look at Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. How did that work?
Right. So,
Right.
right.
You know, it
Right.
worked. And so we got to stop thinking that it can't
Oh, it will.
work.
It will.
That's a
It-
negative
it-
syndrome.
it-
That's
yeah,
a negative
they
thought
want us
mind that
to
goes
stay
in.
on that, hating on each other.
Yeah.
And it's not, dude, you might not believe it, but it ain't all white people.
Right, that's a
But
no.
like Muhammad Ali said, if 10,000 rattlesnakes are coming to get me and 1,000 of them like me, am I going to open the door and let all 10,000 of them in? You know, he
Right.
say it's up to that 1,000
That
to
one-
build a
that's a
wall
fact.
to
Yeah.
help protect me.
For
You
the
know,
rest of
so
them,
we
that's a
got to get white folk on our team. Man, there's some white angels out there, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
believe
You
it.
know,
Yeah.
there's some
Like,
white
like
angels
Solomon
out
said,
there.
good white people.
Yeah, it
Good
is.
white
It very much is.
Yes.
Because all of that was something that was just as well as we a victim of that systematic racism. They was a victim of it too.
Right.
Their parents
But-
taught them
but
how to be
indirectly.
racist.
It's a fact. The other way.
Indirectly,
The
Yeah,
other
the
way.
other
It's
way.
a
You
fact.
know what I mean? So they got to weed themselves out of that mind frame just as well. We got to weed ourselves out of certain mind frames we may have picked up from the residual effect of slavery back then. You
Yeah.
know what
That's
I'm
true.
saying? It goes
So,
with
man,
everybody.
Dr. Michael Addison, man, we do appreciate you for blessing our platform,
Yes,
man.
very much.
And you could have been anywhere, but you right here, brother.
Thank you.
We appreciate you,
you.
man. Man, put your information out there again one more time and let people know how to contact you if they want to patron your campaign, if they want to reach out to you, they even want to call you or text
Just
you or
follow
whatever.
in general.
Follow you anyway. Just
Yeah.
put your information out there one more time. brother.
We're also on Facebook under Addison for U.S. Congress.
Mm-hmm.
We're on social media, Twitter, Dr. Michael Addison, or Addison for Congress. We got both of those.
Mm-hmm.
As far as our website, if you're conservative
Mm-hmm.
and you're Republican, we have conservatives for Addison. Believe it or not, we have a strong conservative support base.
Right on.
And that's because we're that candidate can reach across the aisle and work with anyone.
Right.
Whether you're independent, conservative, or a Democrat.
Absolutely.
You
And
know,
that's very
liberal.
important.
And that's very important for the growth of the community. And so if you go to addisonforcongress.com, you can reach us, and that's ADDISON, addisonforcongress.com. And we'll gladly love for volunteers. Awesome. We have a classified ad running where we're in the process of bringing in and training poll workers and poll watchers, because what we don't want to happen, we don't want anyone to steal the election from us. If we lose, let us lose.
Yeah.
But don't steal it.
Right.
And like we said, Trump, some of the stuff he talked about was pretty valid. It just his way of coming across, we didn't want to hear it.
Right.
And so I thank you guys for giving us this opportunity to share with you.
Man, anytime, man. You are brothers to the platform. Anytime you want to come back here.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, tell the people when they need to go out and vote, man.
Now listen, the election. Oh, thank you for reminding me.
Right.
The election starts. Early voting starts May 14th, and that's for early absentee voting. But then we have secondary early voting starting June 1st. They just passed the new law that we'll have 14 days of voting. So we can vote from June 1st through June 14th. The actual election day is June 14th, the second Tuesday of the June. It's always the day of the primary.
That's my birthday.
And so on that 14th
birthday,
day,
brother.
we'll get to decide. But up until then, remember, we need 108,000 437 votes. And I'm a numbers guy.
Right.
I'm a numbers guy.
We would definitely want you to come back before then, bro.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
So,
yes,
so I was
without
going to
a
say that, right?
doubt.
So let's set up something off camera.
Yes.
So, prior to the election, maybe a couple days before, set up something, do a podcast and a meet and greet, something like that.
Yeah, that'll be great, and we can get rid of all the technical difficulties.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Smooth ride. We're gonna sail right on into the sea.
Right on.
And you know what's so strange? They're counting on black men not voting.
True.
They're counting on black men neglecting their families.
Right.
They're counting on black men not working.
Right.
I say, don't give them what they expect from us.
Let's change the narrative.
Let's change the narrative. Let's do what we know we can do in our communities.
Right.
If the black man step up and vote, it's a whole game changer.
Right.
True.
Whole game changer. It's all up to us.
It's up to us.
It's up to
Y'all
us.
hear that, fellas? It's up to us.
That's a big fact. We the future. We the present and the future.
Each one teach one, baby.
We'll be there, man.
Yeah,
All
man.
the
So again,
education.
man, we like to thank you, man. Q, you got something you want to say before we get up out of here tonight, man?
Oh no, man! I just, I guess, ultimately, man, I feel encouraged. I feel like we've got some good foresight. We've got some good things to look forward to, man.
Right on.
That ain't really something I can say for a constant for this area for a long time.
Right.
So it's always good to have some encouragement, man. To those who are listening, man, and watching. If you ain't soaked up an ear right now, man, run this back. You know what I mean? You need to run this back and go back and pick up all of these little breadcrumbs. And like I said, we'll definitely revisit a lot of these things as we go forward. But yeah, man, I definitely feel encouraged, man, and definitely look for big things to come, bro.
King Ziegler, what you got, my boy?
Hey, man, I feel inspiration from it, bro. I finally feel like I got somebody who is like me.
Absolutely.
Supporting me.
Right on.
Supporting
That's
my
important.
family.
Absolutely.
That's heavy.
Who's looking for the same objectives that I'm looking for. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I want to see where you go, brother. I mean,
Thank you.
I'm here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Right on. Boss man, what you got, boy?
Listen, man. I got one thing, and that is knowledge is empowering. So with the information that folks is receiving, let's turn it into knowledge, man, and start acting on it and passing it out to the folks, because we know better now. Before we ain't know better. But after the information I've been given, you know what I'm saying, now you know better.
But if you know better, you do better.
You do better. So knowledge is very much empowering, and I hope folks take this information that was given tonight, man, and empower themselves with it.
Yeah, put that in your blunt and smoke.
As well as empower Michael Addison with it as well.
Let's talk about it. There you go.
Man, but like again, like I said, man, Dr. Michael Addison, man, we appreciate you for coming, man. Like I said, you could have been anywhere, but you right here, man. Late Night Podcast, appreciate you, man. Like I said, you come back here before you do the campaign, man, and we'll set something up very nice for you. You know what I'm saying? And help you get on through that. You know what I'm saying? Help you get them votes at 100 and whatever.
108,437.
37.
All I ask is, let's give Jim Clyburn a good homecoming.
Yeah.
There we go.
Homegoing.
No, homecoming. Bring his ass home. Let's give him a good homecoming.
Yeah, man.
We love the brother, but we want to bring him home.
Yeah. So wrapping it up, man. We like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, man. I hate we couldn't have been live physically like we usually do, man. We finna run it back live in a minute, though.
Yes, sir.
My boy to the left, who you be?
I'm your man QZ, ball buddy from the Berg with the beard, man.
My boy to the left, who you be?
Hey, man, it's felt Zeig, man, a.k.a. King Ziegler in the building.
My boy to the right, who you be?
Be boss man, the man with the motherfucking plan.
And the guest, my guest, what's your name, brother, again?
I am Dr. Michael Addison, candidate for U.S. Congress. We look forward to getting your vote. Make sure you get registered, get voted, get tested. Stay away from that COVID. We need your vote. We need you around.
Right on.
Like that way.
I am your host with the most, Carolina Slimm, and we are out here with the Late Night Podcast. Thank y'all.
Yeah.